Welcome to Lesson 5. In this lesson we'll look at data analysis and use the programme of study and school expectations to analyse our data at a pupil level. We'll also look at grade distributions and explain why they help us to analyse each element of the curriculum. We'll finish off by looking at summary roles and discuss what they can tell us about the cohort. Notice this first column after the pupil details, percentage of programme of study expectations achieved. This column looks across all the grades for the entire statutory part of the national curriculum for this year group. In this case, that's all those green Year 2 statements with a Y up here in the column header. Notice that the non-statutory columns aren't included in the percentage, and neither are the statutory elements from earlier year groups. And by achieved, it means every pupil who's S for secure or M for mastered. This second column is called percentage of school expectations achieved. This column looks at all the school expectations that we have set, including the ones from earlier years. And again, a pupil is judged as having met the criteria if they are secure or mastered. Okay, I think this is an important talky bit. We can use these percentages to inform our overall judgment of the pupil's summative grade. We'll talk about the summative grades in the next session, but just to get you thinking, some schools might want to set criteria based on these columns. For example, your school might decide that a pupil who's met more than 60% of school expectations by the spring term is overall a secure Year 2 pupil. Or perhaps a pupil who's achieved less than 25% by the spring term is emerging Year 2. The criteria you set might be the same at all terms for the school year, or they might adapt to be relevant to the current term. For example, in the autumn term, a secure Year 2 pupil might only need to have met 25% of the expectations, but by the spring term the same pupil will need to have met 50% to be secure, and by the summer term 75% of expectations to be secure. Different schools will want different approaches. Let's have a look how we can analyse the data in columns. Existing SIMS users will be aware of the grade distribution option, and here it is, just the same. Right-click on any of the column headers and you'll get a full breakdown of all the grades achieved by the pupils on the mark sheet. Remember, the most useful column of the two here for most schools is this one, the cumulative frequency column, which shows you, for example here, what percentage of pupils are secure or have mastered this part of the curriculum. Finally, let's make sure that the summary roles are turned back on now. Go to Summary and click on Show or Hide Summary Roles. Here are the summary roles. This line shows us the total number of pupils being displayed, and of those, how many have the result entered. The next line shows us how many people have achieved the skill, and in this context, achieved means are secure or have mastered the skill. This is shown both as the actual number of people achieving the skill and as a percentage of the total number of people in the class. Beneath that, there's a summary of all the pupils who didn't achieve the skill. So that's every pupil who either doesn't have a grade, or has a U grade, unable to assess, or E for emerging, or D for developing. Again, it's expressed as a count of pupils and as a percentage of the whole list of pupils. The final two rows focus on pupils who have entirely mastered the skill and gives another summary as both a count and a percentage of the whole group. Okay, that's lesson 5 finished. Well done. I think there's a lot of really useful analyses built into these mark sheets. And in the next lesson, we'll look at entering an overall grade and entering comments for strengths and next steps.